Nothing that brought you to this video was a coincidence. The people, the words, even the exact moment you found it, they're all part of something greater. The universe doesn't get the address wrong. It simply responds to the frequency of those who are ready to remember. Maybe you've felt lately that there's something different in the air, a quiet restlessness, a sense that the old ways no longer fit, but the new hasn't fully revealed itself yet. This is the symptom of awakening, the call that few hear, but changes everything when accepted. Today, you're going to understand why nothing in your life is random. You'll discover how every coincidence, pain, and encounter is part of a perfect vibrational plan, leading you to a point of remembrance, to the awakening of the 1%. Those who stop searching and start feeling. If you sense that this video found you, not the other way around, then stay until the end. There's a revelation waiting for you between the lines of every word, and if you're ready to elevate your frequency and awaken what's purest in your soul, subscribe now to Manifest Now, and remember, nothing is by chance. Sometimes life feels like just a sequence of coincidences, a book falling off the shelf, a conversation arriving at the exact right moment, a video popping up in your feed. But for those who've already begun to awaken, none of this is random. These are subtle orchestrations, invisible signals from a greater intelligence responding to the vibration emitted by those who are starting to see beyond the surface. Each encounter, each phrase that echoes deep within, is a vibrational password. The universe speaks in frequency, not in words. It responds to what you feel, not just what you say you want. That's why when something repeats, when the same symbol keeps following you, it's life trying to remind you of something you already know, but forgot in the noise of daily life. Think of someone who decides to change their life and suddenly starts running into people and messages that confirm this new path. This isn't magic in the romantic sense, it's energy physics. The inner vibration shifts and reality responds. Coincidence, then, becomes the living language of the quantum field that connects everything. The invisible signal is the universe's touch saying, "Keep going, you're ready." It appears when consciousness begins to perceive synchronicity as a mirror of the soul. That chill, that déjà vu, that feeling that something bigger is happening, these are reminders that there's a hidden order guiding you. And it's at this point that many feel the first call. It's not a sound, it's a sensation. A silence that pulses and awakens something within. The same field that shows you the signals now begins to whisper. And that whisper is the beginning of an invitation few hear. The silent call. There comes a moment when the soul stops seeking answers and begins to recognize. It's no longer about spiritual curiosity, nor about wanting to understand everything. It's a subtle instant, almost imperceptible, when something inside you says, "I already know." This is the silent call, the echo of your own essence, remembering that there's more than what the eyes can see. And when it manifests, no distraction in the world can completely silence it. This call doesn't come through noise, but through pauses. It doesn't demand effort, it just happens, in a sunset, in a glance, in a pain that finally makes sense. The soul speaks when the ego falls silent, and that's why awakening isn't a search, it's a return. The return to what was always there, waiting for the right moment to be felt again. Many confuse this awakening with a grand event, but it rarely begins with fireworks. It starts with small perceptions, too subtle to be explained. A feeling that something has changed, that life is no longer just a sequence of tasks. It's when the human being realizes there's a synchronicity, that everything has a reason, even what seems random. And it's in that instant that curiosity transforms into inner certainty. When the soul whispers, "It's now," the entire life responds. Old situations dissolve, people disappear, paths open, not by coincidence, but by energetic coherence. The universe rearranges itself according to the new level of vibration you sustain. Nothing is lost, only realigned with what you truly are. The call is, in truth, the reflection of your own energy field expanding into a new dimension of perception. And as this consciousness strengthens, an inevitable question arises. If everything seems to fit together so precisely, is there really such a thing as chance? Perhaps it's not coincidence. Perhaps it's just the illusion of chance, the next step of this inner journey. The human mind loves to call chance what it doesn't understand, but in the quantum field, chance doesn't exist, only synchronicity and resonance. Each event, each person, each detour carries an energetic intention. When someone elevates their frequency, they begin to perceive the perfection hidden behind apparent chaos. Nothing is random for those who've learned to see with the eyes of consciousness. Imagine a radio trying to catch a station. As it turns the dial, it only hears noise. Until suddenly perfect tuning happens, life works the same way. Everything seems confusing until your energy aligns. Then the pieces fall into place and you understand that nothing just happened. Everything was waiting for the right frequency to manifest before you. That's why the masters always taught, change the energy and the world changes with you. The vibration you emit is the filter of your reality. Events respond to your frequency, not to your superficial intentions. Those who vibrate fear attract circumstances that confirm it. Those who vibrate confidence become a magnet for opportunities that once seemed impossible. When we understand this invisible law, we stop being victims of fate. What was once bad luck or coincidence reveals itself as energetic feedback. With each thought and emotion, you emit a vibrational signature. This signature converses with the quantum field and creates the experiences we call life. The illusion of chance dissolves when you realize the universe never gets the address wrong. And it's at this point that true power is born, to observe before reacting. Because by observing, you stop being controlled by events and begin to understand them. Awakened consciousness perceives that it doesn't need to change the world, only its perception of it. And it's from this attentive silence that the next level of awakening arises, the awakening of observation. True awakening doesn't begin when you change what you do, but how you observe what you do. The common mind lives reacting, trying to control everything that happens. But awakened consciousness understands that observation is the first act of creation. By looking without judgment, you free yourself from the energy that bound you, and in that instant, the world begins to reorganize around your new vibration. Observing is like turning on a light in a dark room. The darkness never resisted, it simply hadn't been seen. When you bring consciousness to an emotion, it dissolves. You don't need to fight against it, just perceive it. Observation transforms because it illuminates what once operated on autopilot. How many times has the same pattern repeated in your life, just with different faces? These repetitions aren't punishments, they're mirrors. Reality shows what still needs to be seen within you. Anger, fear, scarcity, all are invitations to presence. And each time you observe without reacting, the energetic programming changes silently. It's at this point that the seeker begins to understand the power of now. Not as a pretty concept, but as a vibrational practice. The now is the only place where transformation happens. Observation anchors you in this instant, where past and future lose their power. And the more present you are, the more clearly the universe responds. Thus arises a new stage of the journey to reprogram one's own energy. Because when observation becomes constant, presence becomes natural. And when presence dominates, the entire field adjusts. It's the beginning of the reprogramming of presence, the point where the observer and energy become one, When the mind quiets and observation becomes constant, something profound happens. Energy begins to reprogram itself. It's no longer about controlling thoughts, but about sustaining presence. Each conscious breath reconfigures the vibrational field surrounding you. What once required effort now flows naturally, as if the universe breathed along with you. Being present is like resetting reality's code. When you observe without resistance, energy realigns. Dense emotions lose their power, and clarity expands. In this state, life stops being a struggle and becomes an energetic dance. You realize you're not the character inside the story, you're the one writing the lines of the plot. Presence changes everything because it interrupts the cycle of reaction. Instead of responding to old impulses, you respond to consciousness. And this simple shift in observation point completely alters the outcome. The energy that once sustained fear is redirected toward creation. Presence isn't passivity, it's conscious action in its purest form. Over time, this practice creates a new baseline vibration. External situations may continue to be challenging, but your response changes. And it's this new response that alters the field. The universe reflects who you are, not what you pretend to be. That's why presence is the silent portal to higher realities. And at this point in the journey, something subtle reveals itself. Each moment is an energetic crossroads where an invisible choice happens. One timeline vibrates in fear, another in trust. And what determines the future you'll live is which energy you feed now. This is the mystery awaiting you in the invisible choice. At every instant, life offers you two versions of yourself, one that fears and another that trusts. These versions coexist in parallel dimensions, waiting for your vibrational choice. It's not the rational decision that defines which reality you'll live, but the silent energy you emanate when choosing what to feel in the present moment. When you choose to react with fear, you reinforce the field of control and limitation. When you choose to breathe and trust, the universe opens into new possibilities. This invisible choice happens all the time, even when you don't notice it. It's the point where free will and vibration meet, and it's there that your reality begins to shape itself from the inside out. Life is like a river with many branches. Each thought, emotion, and intention moves you to a different flow. You can follow the course of resistance, fighting against the current, or you can relax into the frequency of trust, allowing the river to take you exactly where you need to be. Both paths are real, but only one is conscious. Over time, this perception transforms how you see everything. Nothing is right or wrong anymore. There's only energetic coherence. Fear keeps you in repetition. Trust moves you toward expansion. And the more conscious of this choice you become, the faster the universe responds. Life stops being a test and becomes a vibrational conversation with the whole. And then, when this consciousness matures, something changes forever. You understand that awakening isn't about accumulating knowledge, but about remembering who you always were. This is the point where effort ceases and flow begins. It's the portal that leads you to the final stage, the threshold of the 1%. There's a point in the journey when the seeker realizes nothing more needs to be sought. What was once effort is now flow. What was once learning is now remembrance. It's like waking from a dream and realizing the awakening was always within. This is the threshold of the 1%, where few arrive, not for lack of capacity, but for lack of surrender. The awakened 1% isn't the one who knows more, but the one who feels more deeply. They understand that true wisdom is vibrational. It's not about memorizing spiritual laws, but about embodying them in daily presence. Being part of the 1% isn't a status, it's a frequency. It's living in harmony with what is, even when the world seems to crumble around you. In this state, time dilates, fear loses form, and silence becomes the guide. The person stops looking for signs and becomes the sign itself. The vibration of peace attracts answers before questions are even asked. Abundance stops being something to conquer and becomes the air you breathe. Everything that was sought out there now pulses from within. And perhaps this is the greatest revelation. Awakening isn't the end of the journey. It's the beginning. Because by remembering who you are, the human being returns to co-creating with the universe in full consciousness. Duality dissolves, separation disappears, and life reveals itself as a mirror of the divine. The awakened 1% doesn't try to change the world. They elevate it simply by existing. Their vibration becomes healing, their presence, transformation. At the threshold of the 1%, the seeker becomes the field itself. Nothing more needs to be proven, only felt. It's the return to the origin, to the point where everything began. And when the heart rests in this state, the entire universe smiles back. Because awakening isn't about arriving somewhere. It's about remembering you're already there. If you've made it this far, something inside you has already begun to change. The frequency that brought you to this video isn't the same one that will take you away. You've awakened an ancient memory that you were always in tune with something greater. Chance never existed. The universe was simply waiting for the moment when you'd be ready to see. Now, look at your life with new eyes. Notice the signs, the repetitions, the encounters that seem simple but aren't. Everything happening around you is conversing with your vibration, and the more conscious you become of this silent language, the faster you manifest what once seemed distant. The tip is simple and powerful. Before reacting, breathe and observe. Observation changes frequency. Presence rewrites destiny. Every time you choose to trust, you'll be crossing into a higher timeline, and gradually you'll realize you don't need to force the flow. Just align with it. Now, I want to hear from you. What recent sign made you feel that nothing is coincidence? Comment below and share your experience with others who are also awakening. Like this video, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to keep receiving messages that elevate your vibration and expand your consciousness. And always remember, the universe always responds to your vibration, and right now, yours is rising.